yesterday. Joining us now is Democratic Congresswoman Becca Balint of Vermont. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. What do you make of Trump's comments and the impact it's having on this community in Springfield? And, are you worried about his rhetoric spreading to actual violence?
Yes, I am worried because this is more of the same of what we've seen from this ticket, which is they do spread hate and fear. They dehumanize, they demonize. They have no concern about how it impacts people on the ground. And when you think about these folks in Springfield, Ohio, they're just trying to live their lives. They're just trying to go to work, send their kids to school, and they have to deal with this, national story of them doing outrageous things that are obviously not happening. And once again, it's about spreading hate and fear instead of actually talking about the issues that are important to Americans. And as a former teacher, I can tell you words absolutely matter. And it is just breathtaking how much fear and racism and sexism they can spread without any concern at all for how it's impacting people on the ground.
I want to turn to where you work, Capitol Hill. Obviously, there's a funding deadline coming up. It's almost in the background at this point, but in 18 days, you're going to run out of government funds. Do you think Congress can still pass a spending bill by the September 30th deadline, and what might that legislation look like?
I think in the end, we will end up passing a clean continuing resolution. This is what always happens. So I just want to, I've been in Congress now we're coming up on almost 2 years, and it has been chaos from the very first week, right? We had a fight over the speaker. We then, that dragged on for a week. We careened from one debt ceiling crisis to a government shutdown crisis. It just is constant chaos. And the Republicans, what I've noticed, are not actually interested in governing. So it's not surprising that here we are again. They had the entire August recess to try to get a continuing resolution queued up and ready to go. But they just can't help themselves. They cannot stay the course. Instead, they listen to Trump. Trump goes on TV and says, of course you should shut the government down, because that's good for me. It's always about him. And they don't have the backbone or the courage to remember that they are there actually to do work on behalf of the American people and not on behalf of the former president.
Congresswoman, you make serving in Congress sound so glamorous. I want to turn to sort of national politics here. I don't know if Vermont necessarily is the best microcosm of the nation writ large, although I will say there's a lot of interesting rural communities in the state.
Absolutely.
We're 50 or so days out from the election. What is your sense of where the electorate is from talking to your constituents, both after the debate and with respect to the Trump and Harris matchup? Yeah,
you're right. Vermont is a rural state, and like every state, we run the gamut of political perspectives. What I've been hearing for years is the top issue for people, the overarching issue, is concern about the democracy, and that's still what I'm hearing now. There's a lot of enthusiasm about this ticket, about the Harris-Walz ticket. They do respond to the fact that the vice president speaks directly to the American people about what her plans are, whether it's on housing, whether it's making sure people get cheaper prescription drugs. She actually has a plan. She is speaking to the issues that are of concern to them, including prices both at the pump and at the grocery store. So it is resonating. People feel like this is somebody who is concerned with how their lives are, how their children are, how their families are, and they're not hearing that from the former president. I think she's going to win handily in Vermont. And I think that, I know that's going to be a shocker. It's a shocker. But I do think it really speaks to what she's been saying for weeks now. People are exhausted. We don't want to hate our neighbors. We really don't. It doesn't help us individually. It doesn't help the nation. And I do think people are ready to turn the page. And the more that we see the hateful rhetoric from the Trump-Vance ticket, the more people are just ready to turn away from it. It is not serving us. It's not serving our democracy. It's not serving our economy. So feeling very hopeful this morning.
I'll be watching the early returns from Putney and Bellows Falls to make sure that your predictions are correct. Democratic Congresswoman Becca Balint of Vermont, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And up next, we'll break down new poll numbers.